Coming up, sticker shock for millions of Californians. Premiums on covered California plans are set to nearly double in 2026. And the government shutdown could make things a lot worse. Plus, one of the largest television blackouts in years as Disney pulls its channels from YouTube TV. All that and more coming up. Hi, I'm Faith Pinot from LA Times Studios in Washington, D.C. Hurricane Melissa ripped through the Caribbean this week, leaving a deadly trail across Jamaica and Haiti. According to reporters, the Category 5 storm made landfall in Jamaica Tuesday, marking one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded. There, at least 19 people are confirmed dead, with 31 more killed in Haiti, while rescue crews search for the dozens of people that are still missing. Just outside of Haiti's capital in Put-i-Goave, one man lost half of his family in the floods. And in a town like Black River, which sits on the southwest coast of Jamaica, most homes were destroyed. Officials are calling it ground zero, saying high winds ripped the roofs off of 90% of the buildings. Across the island, the storm snapped power lines, flooded streets, and buried entire neighborhoods in debris, leaving many still without electricity or clean water. Now, soldiers are cutting through fallen bamboo and downed trees to reopen critical roads, while helicopters drop food into isolated communities. And in Haiti, entire towns were washed out, and more than 15,000 people are still in shelters. So far, Cuban officials report no deaths from Melissa, but the storm forced the evacuation of more than 700,000 people, inflicting similar damage on basic infrastructure and devastating farmers' crops. Many say they've never seen anything like it before. Take a listen to what one woman in El Cobre had to say.
Pero con esto, jamás. Al menos yo soy nacida y criada aquí y yo nunca había visto una cosa igual. Lo vi con Sandy, pero no así. Pero con esta condena que mira cómo nos ha dejado. Sin corriente, sin techo, sin nada.
Melissa's destruction comes just over a year after Hurricane Beryl battered Jamaica's southern coast, with many survivors being forced to rebuild their lives for the second time. And after nearly a week abroad, President Trump is calling on the Senate to scrap the filibuster and reopen the government. According to reporters, the president's Thursday comments break with Republican leaders who oppose the move. However, Trump says the choice is clear and urged lawmakers to use the so-called, quote, nuclear option to end the month-long shutdown. Senate Majority Leader John Thune and most Republicans have rejected changing the rule, saying the filibuster protects the institution and forces compromise, while House Minority Leader Mike Johnson said eliminating it isn't his decision to make. Take a listen to what he told reporters Friday morning.
Well, what you're seeing is an expression of the president's anger at the situation. He is as angry as I am and the American people are about this madness. And he just desperately wants the government to be reopened so that all these resources can flow to the people who need it so much.
Even if Republican leaders wanted to act, they don't currently have enough votes. Democrats are holding firm, demanding negotiations on healthcare subsidies before reopening the government. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are feeling the impact of the shutdown. SNAP benefits will run out this weekend. Federal workers remain unpaid, and holiday travel faces delays. In Alaska, residents are stockpiling moose and fish, while people in Maine fill their heating tanks with gas amid uncertainty. With Congress out for the weekend and elections looming next week, the shutdown, now in its 30th day, could stretch into record territory. And lawmakers warn that without compromise, the stalemate may continue to hurt families across the country. And now for a closer look into the issue at the center of the government shutdown, the rising cost of health insurance for millions of Americans with subsidized plans. LA Times reporter Tyrone Beason says premiums for covered California, the state's Obamacare exchange, are expected to soar 97% in 2026. The Biden-era tax credits that have kept insurance affordable for 1.7 million Californians. Democratic lawmakers are demanding that Republicans set aside money to extend the subsidies. Republicans, however, say the government has to reopen first. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries issued a stark warning about the rising costs Wednesday. Take a listen.
Costs are not going down in America, they are going up. Housing costs are up, grocery costs are up, electricity prices are through the roof, childcare costs are up, and now because of Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, we know that premiums, copays, and deductibles for the overwhelming majority of Americans, including but not limited to more than 20 million Americans who receive their Affordable Care Act tax credits, are about to explode. Republicans have done this, and they now refuse to even sit down and address the health care crisis that they have visited on the American people.
Without the extension, monthly premiums could jump by an average of $125 next year, and that's on top of an already planned 10% increase. State officials are trying to soften the blow with $190 million in California tax credits, specially set aside for lower-income households. But experts warn it won't be enough, predicting as many as 400,000 people could drop their plans altogether, meaning those without coverage may turn to emergency rooms, driving up costs for everyone, including private insurance holders. Healthcare leaders say the hardest hit will be working Californians who don't get coverage through an employer, people like freelancers, small business employees, farm workers, and others that are already struggling to make ends meet. With open enrollment starting Saturday and the federal budget standoff unresolved, millions of Californians face tough choices about their health coverage in the coming year. And if you got a strange text about missing your ballot in California's special election, don't panic. Election officials say it's not from the state. According to Karen Garcia, the messages look legit. They include voters' names, addresses, and even links to government websites. But California's Secretary of State says they're fake. The texts come from a group calling itself Ballot Now. State officials say it's not affiliated with California elections, and that the messages are misleading voters into thinking their ballots won't be counted. The state says it's investigating where the text came from and what the intent was, while Ballot Now hasn't responded to media requests for comment. If you want to track your real ballot, go straight to the official site, Ballot Tracks, that's trax.sos.ca.gov. There, you can sign up for verified texts or email updates in 10 languages. Garcia says that if you suspect election fraud or misinformation, to call the Secretary of State's voter hotline or your local county registrar's office. Bottom line, ignore the fake texts and use only state or county websites to check your voter status or track your ballot. And millions of YouTube TV subscribers were left in the dark Thursday night, literally. ESPN, ABC, FX, and other Disney-owned channels have gone black after contract talks between the two TV giants broke down. Meg James reports the blackout hit just before 9 p.m. Thursday, cutting off SportsCenter, Grey's Anatomy, and other primetime programming for more than 10 million homes. The dispute comes down to carriage fees, basically how much YouTube TV pays Disney to carry its channels. YouTube says Disney demanded unfair price hikes, while Disney says YouTube refused to pay market rates. The result? One of the largest TV blackouts in years. Over the weekend, viewers will miss everything from major sporting events to local news, including college football, Monday Night Football, and ABC's Good Morning America. YouTube TV says it will offer subscribers a $20 credit if the outage continues. But for now, both sides say they're still negotiating, with no clear timeline for when the Disney-owned channels might return. That's it for now. To read these stories and more, be sure to subscribe to the LA Times.